So now we are going to see how to look for an inspiration. So first begin with looking for bas relief sculptures. Okay, on the internet, Google it, and it's like BAS relief sculpture. Also, you look for sculptures which will give you the 3D, but what we are looking at is a flat sculpture. So look for relief sculptures. Sometimes they are, the projection is a little more. So look for low relief sculpture, and then maybe first figure out what you want to do, like maybe you're looking for animals, or maybe just the sceneries, or maybe flowers, and what is the kind that you want to do. So first when I started, I looked for elephant. So I started with relief sculptures, and then I figured out what are the things that are coming up, and then which one would I like to do. So then I chose elephant first, and then I went ahead to search for elephant relief sculptures. And then the images that I got are the ones that you're seeing here now. Now, the relief sculpture itself will give you a basic idea of how much projection and where are the projections basically are. And so once we are sculpting, we will have a better idea of how much of bulk is needed to which part of the subject that we are working on. In this case, this is the elephant. Now, once you have the relief sculpture in different angles, like from the left and the right, so you actually get to see the projections, right? And then you could use the front side of the sculpture itself to start doing your work. You could take the printout of that. That will also give you the outline and the sections or the proportions of the entire body with the different parts also from the sculpture itself. Or what I did, I went for looking for a little more inspiration, like the painting of the elephant, because now I've narrowed down to what I need to do, which is the elephant itself, right? So then I went to Google for elephant painting. Now when I have been looking for elephant painting, and then I found an image where the elephant was standing on some grass, and then there is some river around and all that. So having that as an inspiration gives you a little more idea of what you could do to the background, because we're just going to do it on the cake. We could leave it with the stone sculpture effect that is on the temple walls or something like that, which is the carving using the hard stone, right? But then we could just do it with a gray finish with the depth given to the creases and leave it like that. But however, now we are also going to do the painting on the sculpture and trying to give depth by giving the actual colors to the subject that we are going to work. So having the printout of the image that we are going to work on. So this is the sculpture itself that I'm having here, and here's the color printout of the sculpture, the elephant. Okay, so I have chosen the sculpture to go with the outline, and for the coloring, the inspiration comes from the actual painting. So we know how much depth to give in, what kind of colors that we need to use. Okay, so take out the printout, but the image that you pick up from the Google will not be the exact size that you want to place it over your cake. So that needs to be resized. We could use apps to do that. The Canva is one app that will be easy to resize the image, like if you're going to do it on top of the cake or the sides of the cake, and what is the dimension of the size of the cake, like how big the cake is going to be or how small. So resize it accordingly using an app, after which print it out to the exact size that you have resized to. So now this is the size that I have blowed up the picture. So now it is going to fit on the side of the cake that I'm going to work on. Okay, so having the picture chosen first and then resizing it and then printing it in black and white or color, doesn't matter, but then color is good, so we know where exactly the depths are going to be. Okay, now after having the printout, we are going to trace it on first to try out with on a regular paper, A4 sheet. Okay, and to put it on the cake, we are going to use wafer paper, but the tracing technique is going to remain the same. Now I'm going to show you how to trace it on the A4 paper. When we are going to use it on the cake, then instead of this A4 sheet, you will be using the wafer paper, the thin one, through which the image from underside will be shown very clearly. So you need an A4 sheet if you're going to practice on the paper, or you will be needing a wafer paper. Okay, and then the next important thing is the acrylic board, okay, or a glass if you can just work with it safely. So the acrylic board I have here is a cake board, so you have the double hole here. You don't need this hole at all if for this particular technique, but if you have a board with a hole in it, which is a transparent board is what we are looking at. If you do not have one, you could just get glass cut or acrylic board itself cut to the size that will fit the paper and not smaller than that, okay. So this is the next thing that we will need, and then obviously a pencil and an eraser if you're going to do it on an A4 sheet. But if you're going to do it on wafer sheet, then a little bit of pencil is definitely fine. That is going to even go on the cake. There's no harm. But however, if you choose to keep it all edible, then you could use an edible pen to do this particular tracing, okay. And then we need a basket or a tray which has a little bit of lift, because in this space we are going to keep some light source that is going to pop out light from the underside, okay. Now what I am using here is a LED light itself, okay. Now if you do not have this, it doesn't matter. You can use maybe your mobile's torch is also fine, but basket of this depth is not quite good for mobile phone's torch. And you can have a basket that is not as tall as this, but now this is going to give out a lot of light. And now we are going to use a powerful light like this. Doesn't matter about the height of the basket, but if you're going to use lesser power light that is going to come out, then choose a basket that is a little shorter, okay. And you can also use some night lamps, and now this kind of a hole in the basket is quite easy to insert the night lamp inside, and so the light is just going to follow up from the basket. Now this light I'm just going to keep it in. Now if I switch it on, oops. Now if I'm going to switch it on, there is going to be quite a lot of power coming in, and this I will be keeping it in, okay. Now I'm going to make it facing flat up. On top of this I'm going to place the acrylic board, okay, and then on top of that I'm going to keep the paper. And now I'm just going to take an outline of the elephant only, okay. So it doesn't matter if the entire sheet is just going to fit in, because these are the grass areas. Now the entire elephant is there and it is going to properly fit within the acrylic board. Now I just need to stick this. We don't want the elephant paper, the printout, to be moving. So I'm just going to use a sellotape. Okay, and so this is not going to move, okay. Now I can move the entire acrylic board, but the paper, the printout is not going to move. Now after sticking that, I stick the A4 paper or the wafer paper. Now this also should be stuck on the acrylic board. So now this paper also won't move, and the position of the printout and this A4 sheet is all going to be in one piece. So this is just not going to allow the outline to just move as I am tracing. Now once that is done, the next step is to actually have it lit up so we see the elephant. So I'm just going to switch off the light, so the space is going to get dark, but we're just going to have the light pass through, and then the image of the elephant is just going to be seen through properly. And then using the pencil, I'm just going to go on and then find the outline to get a outline transferred onto this paper. So I'm going to switch off the light to let the elephant pop out from the light source from the underside, so you can see the elephant clearly now, right? So now I'm just going to go over and start tracing the outline. So I'm just going to have the finger pressed right next to the area that I am going to trace and trying to be as close to the outline that is there. I'm also going to keep the image next to me. You can have the digital image also next to you as you go over this, in case you're just missing out on the outline. You can just follow the digital image. Now, if you're using your mobile torch, you might have to just move this sheet just right under the light source, so it is easier and you can see through the image a bit more clearly. So I'm also going to the shaded areas, the darker ones, so I know I just need to add bulk around it, and darker areas are the places where dents are going to be there because it is the shadow area, right? So very prominent dents will be like the shadowed darker areas, which also I will mark using the outline. So look for the dented areas and just make a marking there. We'll anyway follow the digital image as well, but it's always better to have this. We will still be covering this entire thing with a first layer of the bulk, but as we draw we get a perspective of where the dents are going to be. So these will be lower areas and the brighter part will be the areas that will have the bulk. And these are the lines. They'll anyway first get covered, but for me to just get an idea, perspective. So you can see the curve area, which means here will be dented and then this will be the bulk. You still have the so this is the body, back of the body, and here there is a dent that just divides the leg. Okay, so I'm just going to look closely if I just need to capture some more. Here the trunk is still not captured, so I'll just go over the tusk part here. So the legs and the nails are still going to be here. So you can see there is this side. Obviously this will need to create those dents after the first layer is done. These are the shading which will be done with the sculpting as well, and then with the shading. And here again these are the wrinkled areas, but here you can see this is a wrinkle with like there is a bend down knee there, which we will be working on. So at least we know the position where it is going to be. Okay, so you can stop with this outline, because anyway the rest of the things will come after the entire area will be covered with the modeling chocolate. Or then you could go in and then give the shading, so you understand that it is not a separate part, like we are dividing the leg and the body, the trunk and the leg and all that with a line, right? But here the darker areas that are again divided with a pencil outline, they are not separate parts, but then they are just included within that part, but we're just going to have dents there. So a rough shading is not going to be perfect. We are not going to make an effort to have this outline elephant perfectly, but we are just going to get a perspective of the darker areas and the lighter areas. So darker will be dented and the lighter areas will have the bulk created. Okay, so the rest will be handled during sculpting. Okay, so now I'm going to switch off the studio lights, and I'm going to switch on the light, the workspace, and switch off the light underneath. I'm going to take out the paper and then show you how the outline has been transferred. Okay, so we have the elephant that's nicely transferred here, but we still have room. You can just check the places which we were not able to cover up. So this leg, which is the front one, right, will have the nail and the finger part a bit here, but then this is going to be, because this is the back leg, will still be at the back. So this is going to have more of the nail areas here, which we can work on during the sculpting. Okay, so now the image is transferred, and now we just remove off the sellotape and get the paper out, and this we need to have the outline cut. So while transferring, we don't want the entire paper to be there. We just need the outline, because it goes on the cake with the wafer paper. Now, if this was the wafer paper, now going to work on the cake, then wafer paper itself will just stay on the cake. Okay, so we're just going to use the scissors and then cut this out now. So this I'm just going to place it aside. I'm going to start cutting, go as close. So now I have the exact outline of what needs to go on the cake, and then we'll continue seeing how this goes on the cake, and then we'll start sculpting over it. So the cut out template from the wafer paper is here, and I'm going to attach this on the cake, which is the way we are going to transfer the inspiration image, and for us it is the elephant, and out of this we have this that we need to transfer it on the cake. Now the work itself can be done on fondant cake because you want the outside to be dry to the touch. Now this is covered with fondant, and then on top I have added royal icing, giving some textures because that's how I'd like it with the final touch that I would want to give it to the cake. Now this wafer paper, before you attach it even to a fondant or a royal icing based cake, or in general maybe if you're going to work with fondant cake itself. So that is a spray which is having water, filled with water. Okay, and so this in a spray I'm just going to spray it on the back side of the wafer paper. Okay, and so I'm just doing this, so this is going to stick onto the cake. Okay, so this way we are just not going to lose any of the details. We have everything traced, and then when you're going to work with the modeling chocolate, we'll know where exactly we need to place for the eyes, the ears, the legs, the trunk. I'll not be losing any of the details. Okay, so there will be a little bit of the edible pen is just going to spread out, but that doesn't matter, it will all be covered. Okay, so now we just transferred the image from the inspiration on paper, and then we've just put it on the cake, and now let's move on to working with the actual modeling chocolate and sculpture.